Sometime back, the official Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Twitter account posted this. Michelangelo in 10 cartoon styles. Can you guess which is which? Well, if you're asking whether I can tell what characters you blatantly traced over to make these, yeah, actually, I've got a few hunches. SpongeBob already established what turtles look like in Bikini Bottom, and believe it or not, they aren't actually Patrick's dismembered face grafted onto an unripe mango. But that's where I come in, to redraw these mangled Mikeys as they ought to be. And meanwhile, over at whatever's left of Cartoon Network's putrefying carcass, pick your fave Courage Animation style dog emoji drawing emoji. My favorite, well, that's the one to the left.
And to the right.
That ain't Tom and Jerry.
And like this inside, we can do it better. Just grab a pen. Let's do the style swap again. Let's fix the style swap again.
Coming to you from beautiful downtown Fortitude Valley, it's the Harry Gold Show, with your host, Harry Gold.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the program. Looks like we're back at it once more. The animation networks and their property-specific vassal accounts have all spent a good deal of energy trend-jumping on social media, including redrawing cartoons in various art styles. Apparently, they've just never quite mustered enough energy to get anything right. That's why I've made it my personal mission to redraw their redraws and beat them at their own game. Never send an unpaid intern to do a snarky hater from the internet's job. Ah yes, my favorite art style. 1. Man, this is a tough quiz. What show could this Xerox of stock Rugrats art possibly represent? Transformers Earthspark? Duh. You know, the first time I saw this illustration, when I was tagged by my man, I glossed right over it. I genuinely assumed it was just bad fan art. I mean, they turned Tommy Pickles into a literal pickle and called it a day. I almost made a Rick and Morty joke there, but then I'd have to pretend Pickle Rick was actually funny. You can't just scribble over top of the nearest round-headed baldy and say, close enough. Oh look, here's Mikey in the Seinfeld art style. Instead, on top of a wide-format cake hole and generously social distanced eyeballs, a fully grown Rugrat like Michelangelo here should cut roughly the figure of a potato impaled with bendy straws. 2 can be as bad as 1. Actually, it's the loneliest number since the number 1. The umlaut eyes and mouth like a collapsing oil derrick suggest an attempt to evoke Doug's dinky 90s aesthetic. But as the great philosopher Amanda Seyfried once mused, why are you white? TMNT HQ was too busy wheedling engagement out of all 7 people who cared to actually furnish any answers themselves. But this reply to a commenter's suite of speculations does seem to confirm my theory. A style theory. Wait, that's actually a thing, isn't it? I guess looking more like Fido Dido than any resident of Bluffington is just standard procedure at Nick's Dugulation department. On top of the aforementioned ExxonMobil grin and pair of beady blacks, this style is supposed to feature such radical concepts as colors and shadows. Plus, because the tweet was for Rise of the TMNT specifically, Mikey gets his dopey knee emojis and Beyblade yo-yo as well. But before we continue, this episode of The Harry Gold Show was brought to you by Proton.
Hey there, I'm your regular everyday email.
And I'm an email sent by Proton Mail.
Say, Tin Can, what's with the fancy duds?
This is my end-to-end encryption, sir. Nobody can spy on my contents because of it, not even Proton Mail itself.
Is that so?
Indeed, sir. Unlike the big tech companies, Proton doesn't collect your data or sell it to advertisers, nor AI models or third parties.
Well, that...
Must be nice. Quite, sir. Proton also offers up to 2 terabytes of private cloud storage that's encrypted by default, keeping your data out of reach from advertisers and AI, all in one simple subscription that syncs across devices. And their legal home is in Europe, sir, so Proton benefits from robust legal privacy protections, free from big tech surveillance. Oh, yes, Proton's PhishGuard also blocks known phishing attempts and warns you if an email is suspicious.
Say, buddy, you think these Proton pals of yours have another one of those in my size?
Don't let big tech profit by invading your privacy, sir. Support this channel by signing up to Proton for free today. Proton, privacy by default.
All that said, I'm frankly unconvinced this is even correct. It'd certainly be in character for corporate to lump the social media intern with something to post that they never even bothered to explain. And did you notice how their response was not actually a yes? I honestly do wonder if it's actually meant to be something else. Chalk zone, perhaps? It would certainly make sense of the coloring book color palette at the very least. If you've figured something out that I haven't on this one, let me know in the comments. I'm quite curious. Now, it's not exactly rocket surgery to deduce what Captain Anime Eyes here is just a greenwash tracing of, but come on. If you're just gonna filch Avatar's homework like that anyway, couldn't you have at least bothered to keep copying past the chin?
Mikey's being decapitated, head from shoulders separated, throat completely bifurcated, still we stand a short king, turtle power.
The Last Airbender's lukewarm attempt at a Japanimated aesthetic has more shading and defined representational anatomy than the typical Nickelodeon fare. Though I suppose in a surging vat of linguini limbs and caterpillar smiles, that really ain't saying a whole lot. With eye brackets like those, Style 4 could only be the Loud House. You know, the most tragic thing about this illustration is that it still might actually be the most solid one Nick has made. I mean, it's pretty hard to mess up a character's body if you don't bother drawing it. And how can you help but replicate a style when you're copying right over it? They've even varied the color palettes and line widths just like you'd really see across different art styles. And if you've been following this whole series, you know just how much of a delayed action Christmas miracle that truly is. They also did a better job at disguising their tracing in this particular instance, but our forensic inspection of the dental records gave it away anyhow. The Loud Ladies all have mouthfuls of horizontal chompers. Only Lincoln himself has a smile like a bottle opener. 5 is easy, obviously Tough Puppy. No? Oh, silly me, it's Danny Phantom. The Garden cartoon? Man, I was so sure. It couldn't be something like Total Drama. Cyber Chase? Dave the Barbarian? Well, then I'm all out of ideas. I was able to match the uneven eyes on their own, so it seems like the artist has opted to trace over some hideous Frankenstein chimera of Timmy Turner's body parts that they've assembled themselves. I appreciate the effort this person has gone to pretend they didn't just trace it, possibly more than would have gone into actually drawing it for real. Now that's dedication to the craft. Butcher's conveyor belt cubist aesthetic has a rather geometric form factor, with heavyweight outlines contrasting their flimsy in-lines. And now it's time for the B-plot.
Style swapping, double feature. Let's redraw this grody creature.
Our old pal CN looks to be just about dead in a ditch as an organization, but we could still critique their questionable style swapping for old time's sake. They'd have wanted it this way. On top of the standard issues, like color and line consistency you couldn't fault with an electron microscope despite the variety of art styles present, they've also given Courage here Jake the Dog's pre-twisted Oreo eyes, but those are specific to him and his. I reckon Courage should be much more aggressively simplified, with cootie shot eyes and a pasted on mouth. I call this one, Give Me a Hug, and Please Don't Kill Me. Now, unless you can point out where in the wiki it says Marzipan City has a local ordinance for mandatory scarves, I'm afraid that gaudy little ensemble is just not part of the art style. A bit of texture would be nice though, that's very much in vogue in the Chowderverse. Now, they've clearly just merged in with Scrappy Doo here, which is, in fairness, the inspiration I would use as well. But don't these just kind of look weirdly like the same thing 3 times? They could all be triplets in the same show. You know the famous archetype, the shorter, fatter brother, the taller, skinnier brother, and the brother that tried to eat a bee. Regardless, Couragey Duragey Doo here needs to go from having a big snout with a crooked mouth to a slightly different big snout with a crooked mouth. The Looney Tunes art style, that's like asking for Baskin-Robbins flavored ice cream. They've been cranking out tunes for nearly a century, and believe it or not, things have changed a few times since Betty Boop was the animation industry's bleeding edge. Though you'd never really know it from CN's illustration, I assume we're going for the aesthetic Waters has stuck to the most for the last 70 years, with those permanently slightly apologetic teardrop eyes and pronounced tilde-shaped jowls. And here we go again. TNJ have undergone plenty of transformations of their own over the years, and yet none were ever quite like Balloony Tunes here. I imagine we're talking the apple-cheeked style they've mostly favoured since the 1940s, as opposed to, say, that weird Sanrio-fied anime that was presumably greenlit by someone who habitually lit green. This is your classic Powerpuff problem. The main characters are drawn differently to the rest of the show's animal cast, so Courage shouldn't just look like pandas crawling in his skin. Those wounds, they will not heal. This show's canines do not share the pool toy anatomy of its protagonists, and rather just look more or less like normal dogs. Thus, so should ours, cowardice notwithstanding. Hey, that's nice. These illustrations love to put the same small clique of optimally nostalgia-baity shows on a tight-knit merry-go-round, so it's great to see something different in the mix. So different, in fact, that I've never heard of this show in my life. Evidently, it features anthropomorphic critter folk with lunar eclipse pupils, whose proportions, tinged with the slightest hint of chunkiness, are counterbalanced by painfully malnourished outlines. Alright, you've lost me on this one. Why the 1935 movie director costume? And to what end are we bringing back the Daphne and Velma color palette from before? While OTG dubs generally sports a sort of cottagecore Adventure Time aesthetic, animals tend to be a touch more representational than the human cast, even the weird anthropomorphic ones. And now, back to Mikey. Speaking of, I've got a bone to pick here. He's called Mikey because apparently whoever made this franchise didn't know how to pronounce Michelangelo correctly. What's next? Leonardo? Donatello? Raphael? It's supposed to be pronounced all Italian-like, you know. It's-a me, Michelangelo! Anyhow, My Life as a Teenage Robot is another first-time art style for the series, which is great. It has a sort of dynamic Tartakovskyite aesthetic, with centenarian eye wedges and corners to spare. Oh, what luck! A show with a turtle among its main cast. Surely this must be a valid excuse to trace over him and be done with it, said the hack. As in any style, just scrawling over a character from Rocco's Modern Life with an inexplicably fat pen simply isn't good enough. Slouchy folk with crooked eyes and even more crooked mouths make up the populace of O-Town, alongside a surplus of limp limbs and anti-gravitational eyebrows. Well, never mind then. It looks like we're doubling down on the strategy. As I mentioned earlier, there have been turtles in SpongeBob, so we know what they ought to look like. And it may surprise you to learn that they don't actually much resemble a starfish's face copied onto an errant daub of wasabi. We should be seeing pronounced cheeks with rubbery eyelids that bunch up. Sounds quite uncomfortable actually, but sure. As well as intermittent bouts of outline coloration. Well, obviously that's... One guest suggested Kablam, which is not a show I'm at all familiar with, but the cheat sheet is not much more illuminating. What on God's favorite big blue boulder is its pony? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's fully external eyeballs, like some kind of hideous snail man, big detachable rectangular eyebrows, mildly epileptic outlines, and petite clodhoppers. Not whatever this thing is. Now what have we here? A Nickelodeon show about a bird with a big round head and a yellow rubber band for a beak? Well, that could only be one thing. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh, sorry, I meant Breadwinners. It seems I confused that for Harvey Beaks for Harvey Birdman, Harvey Birdman for Michael Keaton's Birdman, Michael Keaton's Birdman for Michael Keaton's Batman, and Michael Keaton's Batman for Michael Meatloaf Aday's Bat Out of Hell. Easy mistake to make. The main feature of this universe is the magical refractive powers that allow its characters to only have shading on their big dumb melon heads. But they also have some biologically impractical spillage of facial features from Skull to go with those unhealthily gaunt limbs. And that, friends, means another finished set of style swaps to add to the collection. And there may not be too many more. It seems the networks would sooner file for bankruptcy than put any effort into making these things, so we haven't gotten any new ones in a while. Which means now, it's just a matter of what dries up first, the back catalogue or public interest. Either way, we've had a good run so far. Thanks so much, as always, to you wonderful folks in the audience for sending me style swaps and continuing to watch the series. Surprise, reprise!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, greener than a in a row. We redrew them on the Harry Gold Show. Comment below. Wow. Time to end this style swapping video.
Let's play a game. I'll draw someone famous, and 3 people that guess who it is in the comments get a shout out in the next episode. If your guess last time was classic Hollywood actress Katharine Hepburn, then you were absolutely correct. Kathy's rule from the Wheel of Winners is the first 3 correct guesses phrased as a question. Well, truth, hope, love. The truth is, I hope you'll love coming first. VLT21 was a tomato, lettuce, and victory sandwich, gobbling up 2nd place. And I hope Dakarai is patting himself on the back for easily nabbing 3rd. Well done, everyone. Thanks for playing. The eyes on this week's subject are small and pale, rather as if Dracula had turned a pair of blueberries. Their skull is adorned with a forehead so tall, Cape Canaveral routinely doubles it as a launch tower. And cap that off with an adamantly vertical comb of hair, which, in tandem with a prominent beak-like nose and pasty complexion, gives this person the overall deportment of the world's gangliest rooster. Now who could this be? If you know who that was, let us know in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more, but don't want to be left in anticipation. But this has been the Harry Gold Show, so until next time, stay safe, and God bless.